a longer walk. All right. Next story. We're going to have two more storytellers, and we're going to take a short little intermission. You can grab something to drink right there. Take care of the bartenders who are taking good care of us tonight. The next storyteller is a new storyteller to the MothUp stage, Amy Chapppuis. Okay, so I've never done anything like this before. I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to tell you a story that I love to tell, and it too is about travel. After college, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I thought maybe I'd think about maybe trying out being a teacher. And so I volunteered for an organization and volunteered in another country. And the only place in Europe that this country or this organization went was Poland. And so a friend of mine had been there, and I said, what's it like? And it sounded okay to me, and so I went. And so I went, and I'm not Polish. No one in my family is Polish. I don't know Polish. Knew nothing really about Poland too much, you know. And so I get over there, and I'm teaching English as a foreign language, and I have about 600 students. And I see them all once a day, or once a week. And I don't know why. I had freshmen and through seniors, and there was this one senior class that I really liked. Whenever we were together, it was always kind of fun. And it might have had something to do with, these kids were trapped. They knew each other really, really well. They'd been going to school together since kindergarten. And this crew was kind of a little bit of a cut-up crowd. But the students in Poland are not like the students in St. Louis or even in the United States. They're really polite. They're very sweet, and when you walk in the door, just for the lesson, they all stand up and greet you, and it was almost embarrassing at first. It was almost like, you guys need to just, sort of sit down. And they called me Pani Amy, which was just sort of like Miss Amy, because Miss Chapppuis was too difficult. And so I get through about halfway through the year. I'm kind of getting, better at Polish, and I can speak a little bit, and really, when I see it, I can read it, and when I hear it, I know how to write it. I mean, at that point, it's really, really not very good. And so, that's about it. So I think, okay, well, we're going to have this new lesson today, and it's about halfway through the year. We're about halfway through the textbook, and I say, okay, everybody, open up your books to, chapter 14 or whatever it was. And I said, we're going to do the personality of the year. So what they do is they work in their groups, and they talk about who they'd like to nominate for personality of the year. And they do all this in English, and so, of course, it's like a great lesson. It's a lot of fun instead of just talking about, getting directions and going left and going right, doing all these things in English. So they're talking about it, and I'm walking around the room, and I'm thinking, this is sounding great, this is fun. So I start to, tell them I'm going to write their, who they want to nominate up on the board. And so the first person, I call on a kid, and she says, Mother Teresa. I'm like, oh, that's great, all right. So I'm writing this on the board, and I'm thinking, wow, isn't that so sweet, Mother Teresa? And then I call another kid, and he says, Wisława Szymborska. And I'm like, I know who that is, because she was the poet, the woman who won the the Nobel Prize for Literature that year, and she's this, national poet. Everybody knows her. She's like 80 years old. I'm like, that's safe. I'll put her up there. That's good. So I put up there, and besides, I can show off that I know how to spell and say Wisława Szymborska. So then I go and I hit another kid up, and he says, the Pope. That Pope John Paul II, he died, but he's Polish. And not only do I know that he's Polish, I also know his real name. It's Karol Wojtyła. And I'm like, impressive, right? Writing his name up on the board. So it's going well, and I'm thinking, these kids are so sweet. These are really great kids. And, the Pope, Mother Teresa, what can go wrong? So I hit up the kid in the last row, and I say, who do you have? And he says, Marek Chico. And I think, okay, all right, I don't know who that is, but it's pretty safe. They've already said a couple great people so far. Can't be too many people that are bad, So I write up there, and just right away, everybody erupts. They're dying. They're falling off their chairs. They're cracking up. They're busting their sides. They're just like dying. And I'm thinking, what did I do? What did I do? I don't know what I did. And they said, and they're pointing to the board. And I'm like, what? And they said, we said Chico, not Chico. And it sounds the same, right? Doesn't it sound the same? Chico. So I was like, I don't even know how to fix it. What did I do? And they were like, they thought that was hilarious. They were just cracking up. And so I said, what is I gotta know. It's okay. Tell me. And then finally one kid in the front says, honey, Amy, it means ass. And I'm thinking, this is nothing. So I said, cheapko, whatever. That's no big deal. And then, they're dying because I'm saying it over and over and over again, right? And then we get on with the lesson. And then I think, you know what, I'm going to just play around with these kids a little bit. I get them back in order, and then I drop the name again. I say, it's a good thing I didn't say, Mark Chico! And then they were like, dying and laughing and everything. So we get to the end of the lesson. After I'm thinking, if I just repeat this word over and over again, they'll think that I'm not embarrassed, They'll think that, like, it's normal to say this word or something. Clearly my teaching instincts had not been honed yet. So the bell rings and they all get up to go. And this one kid, the quietest kid in the class, says to me, honey, Amy, it does not mean ass. I turn sheet white and I'm mortified. And I'm thinking, I've said this word at least 24 times. At least. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? So I said to him, what is it? What does it mean? I cannot tell you. You must ask Pani Skowska. And that's Eva. She's my friend. She's only a couple years older than me. She too is, an English teacher. And I think, all right, I can ask her. So I go to Eva and I say, Eva, I kind of had a little problem today in class. I made a little mistake and I said a word and I need for you to tell me, I just said this word. I said, Chico, how did you hear that word? And I was like, what is it? I don't even know what I said. What is it? And she says, I don't know this word in English. Now I'm really up a creek. I'm just like, oh my God, what have I done? And she says, I don't even know it. I can't even tell you what it is. And so I'm thinking, well, I could maybe ask the gym teacher, but he took me into his office the first week I was there, and I saw that he had a nudie calendar on the wall, so I'm not going to ask him. And then I'm thinking, well, there's a German teacher, he'd be sensitive to these English language, problems, but then I think he's had me over to his house several times, and he has a lot of Jesus imagery around his house, right over his, everything, everywhere, he's praying. And so I think probably he would not be able to tell me. So I'm like, what can I do? Well, it was Friday, and I had some private lessons, some students coming over the next day, and their brother and sister, and, I knew them pretty well, and I thought, all right, I think they're my final hope. I think I just can ask, Diana and Tomek what this word means. So they get to my house, and we get to the end of the lesson, and I said, all right, now I know this is going to be hard, it's going to be difficult for you guys, but I have to ask you something, and I'm embarrassed too, believe me. I'm embarrassed, but I need to know what this word means. I need to know what I said, because, and Deanna goes, I know. She heard about it. She's all over the school, right? By Friday afternoon, everybody knows that Honey Amy said Chico 1,000,000 times in class, right? So I'm like, well, what is it? And she goes, and she really knows English. She's a smart kid. She knows English a lot. Been taking lessons. I don't know what it is, she says. And I'm like, you gotta figure it out. How are you gonna tell me? She goes, hold on. I grabbed this little, rudimentary Polish-English dictionary. And I'm like, please, can you figure it out? Do something. I know this word can't be in this dictionary, right? So I give it to her, and she starts flipping through it. She points to a word, and I look at it. Female. I'm like, What? What is that? I don't know what that means. So she starts flipping. She points to another word. Organ. I'm like, that's as close as she can get, and I guess I get it. Right? So I go back to school on Monday, and I say, Eva, I know what the word means. And she goes, well, at least you called it a cute little one. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know anything. Nobody can tell me anything. She says, well, in Polish, if you have a name like Tomasz, and that's Thomas, and you want to call him Tommy, you would say Tomek. So apparently, because I put this little K in this word, Chipko, I called it a cute little something or other. So I made it even, more slangy than it already was. And so then I went back to class on Monday, and I said, well, at least I kind of know what I said, right? And I go to the next senior class, and I say, okay, everybody, open up to chapter 14. We're going to do this great lesson, Personality of the Year. I said, now, who would you like to nominate? And this kid in the back yells, Marichico! That was it.